Welcome back to the Unstuck movement, true testimonies of breakthrough. This platform was created to help you find those breakthroughs in your life that'll break the chains for you in any situation that has been holding you back. And today, I think this is my first three-peat guest. Chip, I think this is your third appearance here on the Unstuck movement. And
Yeah.
it's really cool to have you here. It's really cool that I love the fact. So just if anybody doesn't know, Chip Baker is the author of Impact of Influence, and Volume 8 is coming out on July 13th. The tagline is Lessons Learned from Influencers. And I want to say hello to you, my friend Chip. Thank you for being here. And also, my first time meeting DeAndre Lacy. Thank you also, sir, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, Rob,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for having us. And I consider it an honor. You don't have to take time to have us to be on your platform, and for that, man, I'm truly grateful. And so I always strive to give you everything we got, man, because we know the importance of bringing it and sharing the inspiration to your audience.
I'm always excited when you reach out to me. I'm like, Chip wants to get on a podcast. Let's go get it, right? Let's get it.
Let's
Let's do
hey,
this.
and you're not just saying that because we're on the podcast. Like, you mean that. Like, we've in the times we've had, juggling schedules and all those different things, you've made it work. And that, man, that means a lot to me. I rock with effort. And so, however I can ever be of help or service to you, you got me, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So
Yes,
let's
sir.
start with DeAndre, because I want to hear your story, man. Right. The tagline for this edition of Impact of Influence is all about lessons learned from influencers. What is a major life lesson that has had a life-altering impact on you? Tell us that story, man.
All right. It's a green day. I walk the boulevard of broken dreams, and it seems that life has vaporized all my self-esteem. So I cling onto a single strand of hope, but I've been hurt so many times, it's getting hard for me to cope with all the unacceptance, neglection, and rejection. I don't use mirrors because I can't stand the sight of my own reflection. So I wallow, drowning in my sorrow, in a pit of self-pity with no hope for tomorrow. It's not that I'm lonely, because I got a few homies. But at the end of the day, for some reason, I find myself feeling lonely. I don't contemplate my life ending, but I'm unhappy and I'm tired of pretending. So I begin to pray to the Lord, make my confessions. I ask Him to please usher away my depression. I stand tall, confessing that I'm blessed. I went from drowning in my sorrow to swimming in success because now I'm free at last. That was a rap that I wrote as a teenager because my chapter is called One Mic. All I need is one mic, one beat, one stage. One God to show me things that his son did. And that was from Nas's verse because one mic changed my life. Saying yes to one opportunity to going on the stage with my cousin and rest in peace, Michael Wayne gave me the opportunity to rap. I realized that I had that gift and more. But if I wouldn't have taken advantage of that opportunity, ET says take advantage of the opportunity of a lifetime and a lifetime of that opportunity. And so mine is called One Mic because one mic changed my life and led to me doing what I'm doing right now.
I love that. What changed with the one mic? What changed that day?
That day I realized I had gifts. I had something I could offer the world. Prior to that day, I knew I was smart. I knew I did have some sort of future ahead of me, but I just didn't feel talented. And Nipsey Hussle has this rap where he says, no, he a genius, he just can't claim it because they left him no platforms to explain it. And
Mm.
so I had no platforms to express what I had inside of me. And I had nobody affirming really the things that I was good at. I saw no tangible way to use what I knew I was good at. So I just felt like I wasn't good at anything. And so that day gave me confidence and it taught me I had the gift of communication.
I love that, man. I was just having this conversation earlier today. There's a zone of genius for everybody, but we have to have a way of expressing it. And we have to have, well, maybe now with like the internet, we don't have to have somebody who allows us to express it, right? But when somebody encourages us to express it or shows us that we're, sometimes we feel this is how I've always felt, just personal experience. I felt like I wasn't allowed to be who I was. Now, nobody ever told me that I wasn't allowed to, but I just had this feeling because nobody ever encouraged me, just like, be you and try that on and see how that goes. And so when you start to try yourself out, what you know is inside, and bring it out, that's when things start to shift. That's when God shows up. Right? That's when miracles happen, right?
Exactly.
So when that happened for you, how did things shift as far as where was your life then and where is your life now because of that experience with one night?
So I ended up moving to Houston, and prior to doing this book with Chip, I have a book that I wrote also, and it's kind of connected because I ended up on that stage in Houston because prior to that time, I moved from my hometown in Palestine, Texas, home of Adrian Peterson, because my dad was diagnosed with bipolar, psychosis, and schizophrenia all together.
Mm.
He nearly killed my mom one night. I witnessed it. I had PTSD. I couldn't sleep for more than 3 or 4 hours at a time, vivid nightmares. And so I ended up moving to Houston because my family saw how the toll it was taking on me, and how my dad was not taking me to my football practices, taking me out my after school things. And so I moved the summer in between ninth and 10th grade. I moved with my uncle. And so that's how I even ended up here. So I was a shy, unconfident kid dealing with PTSD, walking with my head down, not the person I am today. So when they approached me to even go on the stage with them, I would just look at them like, I'm not doing that. I'm terrified. I'm not confident. But somehow they convinced me to do it. And when they did do it, um, it was awesome. And it allowed me to realize that I did have talent, and that the biggest lesson I learned at a time when I wasn't able to do it anymore is that we confuse the manifestation of our gifts with our actual gifts. My gift is communicating. I'm doing it right now. I do it when I rap. I do it when I write a book. There's more than one way to use that gift. And at one point, I lost that opportunity to rap for a while, but I discovered that that was just the beginning of me using that gift.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to communicate and so many different ways we need to communicate, right? To be able to tell your story. And yeah, communication's everything. It really is. It's as far as my background goes, we can't be great leaders if we're not great communicators. We can't make an impact if we can't communicate, right? It's talking about the impact of influence. Like, you need to be able to communicate effectively. Chip, for yourself, I'm curious. You've put out 8 volumes, or about to put out 8 volumes of the impact of influence.
Yes, sir.
A major life event, major life lesson. Who came along and impacted you in a major way that altered your life?
I think it's been a culmination, right? Like, I'm a big reflective, looking back on the journey type guy, right? And so in my chapter, I just kind of reflect on my journey that has gotten me to where I am now. And for me, I think that your ROI determines your ROI, right? Your radar of influence determines your return on your investment. And then inversely, your return on your investment determines your radar of influence. And what I mean by that is, I looked at, from growing up as a child, the great people I was blessed to be around, that I learned so many things from. Then I had the opportunity from there to go to college, play college football, get a college degree. Great mentors, great teammates, some amazing people that I learned from there. Really helped me learn like who I was, learn that like what I was taught, always good stuff, what I'm doing, just keep doing that. It's going to help me. Right. Then I went into a career of education where I just finished my 25th year in education, coached for 20 of those years. And in that career, it was the same thing. I was blessed again to just be around some amazing people to learn from and grow, to take chances on me, giving me opportunities. And then into being, a social media influencer, if you will, author, speaker, those kind of things. And so the same thing, as you can see with the impact of influence, continuing to be around great people. And so those radars or situations that I just explained to you, environments, if you will, that I've been in, because I invested time into striving to be the best version of myself in those time periods, man, it's influenced me in an amazing way, right? And then inversely, because I was able to be around those great people that influenced me, I'm able to take what they invested in me and use that and invest that in others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's all about too, right? Because there's that it automatically passes itself down as you're being influenced by somebody else, and that helps you, because people come into our lives and they change our lives in a positive way. That's such a groundbreaking thing for you when it first happens, right? Whether you know it's happening or not, you look back and you're like, wow, that was such a pivotal moment in my life. And then from there, you've no idea the ripple effect. And I think about this a lot. Like, what is the ripple effect of how I'm acting today going to impact other people today or tomorrow or down the line, right? And you really can't even put like a perspective on that, because you've no idea how you being who you were created to be today is going to impact so many more people. And I love the thought of that. And you're able to do that on a continuous basis, on a daily basis. And I also am always impressed by, or I guess I'm always just kind of interested in how I could be unaware that somebody in my life, maybe it's somebody that I'm intimidated by in my life, that is in my life for a reason, right? And I might even be actively trying to get away from this person because they make me feel small. And not saying that, so this, I'm just thinking of an example, like this was somebody that didn't mean to make me feel small, but how big they were in my mind made me feel small. So I was trying to get away from them because it made me feel uncomfortable, right? But as I built a relationship with that person and started to learn from them instead of like running from them, it helped me grow, and it changed me and transformed me in so many positive ways. And I look back and I'm like, wow, we never know the impact that somebody is having on us and the impact we're having on other people. And it's just, I try to keep focus on that. DeAndre, what do you think about that as far as the impact that you're leaving on others, and how do you consciously do that on a daily basis?
One, prior to answering that, building on that thought that you were talking about, I think we're the average of, I heard some people say the 5 people we interact with the most. I've heard people say the people you meet, the books you read. I think Mr. Blanchard said that. So if you're always the person that is the go-to for the answers, you know that you're not in the right spot. You want to be around some people that are intimidating, some people that know something you don't know, because they're going to allow you to grow. One of the best books I read was The 21 Irrefutable Laws of a Leader by Maxwell, I believe. And one of the things he said was, leadership is influence. It's not titles, it's not positions. That's power. You might have power based on a position, but you have influence. Leadership is your ability to influence others. And so one of the biggest mistakes I used to make was I would have these big visions and want to take people with me and waste a lot of time trying to convince others. I think the biggest way you influence people is, I went to this thing in Waco at the seminary and Christian leaders, and they said, we're people are transformed by people being transformed. So people that look at where I used to be, where I am now, how I've grown as a person in between those 2 seasons in my life, that opens up their ears and their hearts for me to speak through them by seeing and witnessing the change in my life. So I believe our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. The change we want to see in the world truly starts with us. As we are changed, the proof is in the pudding, and then people want to hear what we have to say, and then we have that opportunity.
Yeah, man, absolutely. You can see it. Yeah, if you're just seeking, if you think people are just going to come to you and you're going to be influential and you're not actually living that life, there's no chance. They might come to you, but they're not going to get the things that you want to be able to give them, right? You're not going to be able to create the impact you want to create. And that all starts with the inner world and how we do that, how we work on ourselves. I'm curious, your walk with the Lord. So I'm curious how that's impacted your life, DeAndre. I've talked about this with Chip on previous episodes, but I want to know more about that. We're going to step into a quick 60-second break for the sponsor of the podcast. When we come back, I want to touch on that with you and dive in.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So DeAndre, talking about influence and leaders, God's the ultimate leader, right? He's at the top of the game. And if we're following in his footsteps, we're going to also be great leaders in our lives. What has God done for you in your life? How have you formed that relationship with him?
The beginning, the genesis of the intimacy of the impact of God's relationship in my life was right before I moved to Houston. So 6th grade, I witnessed my dad almost kill my mother. They're together still. My dad had a mental disorder. He got treatment. It was out of his character to do that. So I thought originally I was gonna move out of the house right then. There was talks of it, but my mom wanted to keep the family together. That was tough for me. I really wasn't ready. I was scared every night. It got to a point where it wasn't even what my dad did. It was dealing with him being this way in day-to-day life, not taking me to practices. One time I put posters up on the wall with tape. He told me the tape would mess up the paint. Then I put them with tack. He said, no, they put holes in the walls. I just felt like he was antagonizing me. I had this phone that he gave me, but then financial challenges came, so I lost service, but I could use a wire. It's the thing you plugged into this old phone at the time. You could pick up the radio. So the summers were hard for me because school and sports was how I got escaped and just took my mind off of things. In the summer, you're just in the house all day. And so the phone was how I was using the radio just to have something else to listen to, stuff I'm putting on the wall, just something to encourage me. And then that was taken from me. So I began to hate him in my heart, because I just felt like he was antagonizing me and not taking me to my practice, all of this. And so I contemplated running away. But I was too smart for that because I knew you run away, you're going to get the people that help you in trouble. It's not going to end well. So finally, I just came to this point and said, God, if you're not going to take me out of this situation, then give me the strength to deal with it. And I kid you not, I don't remember the exact time frame. It was less than a month, 2, 3 weeks, something like that, after my heart shifted to that prayer. One day, my uncle and aunt come down. My parents go with them, which is kind of odd, and my mom comes in the room and said, pack up everything, you're going with your uncle. Now, I always would go with my uncle over the summer, my aunts and different family members, and I would try to stay down there as long as possible. So that wasn't out the norm, but I knew it was something different when she said it. And that was the moment I knew God was really real for me. I was already saved. I knew the word. I was in church. But when I prayed that prayer, and it was almost like he was waiting on me to surrender it to him and then see that change, that's when God became real to me in a real way. Like that I had a personal connection from him to me.
That's amazing. I love that. How did you two get connected? The two of you, how did that all go down?
I'll let DeAndre tell that story because he does a really good job of explaining that and kind of where we are now. But DeAndre, I'll let you explain that, man. It's pretty good.
All right, I'll explain it, even though I don't have that radio voice like he has. But I wish I was blessed like that. But
Seriously, it's the best voice ever,
man. So September is when, as far as social media, I've always posted, but I was just not satisfied. I had a lot of good momentum going into that year. Shout out to George White, the speaker, a guy who has major influence on social media. He gave me a chance to open up for an in-person event for him. A month or two before that, a school from Airline High School in Bossier City reached out. I went out there and did a speech. So I wasn't really getting paid yet or consistently paid, but my speaking career outside of preaching was taking off. But September happened, and I just kind of, I see the progress, just not where I want to be. And Holy Spirit leads me to just start looking in Houston area, reach out to Houston podcasters. I literally type Houston podcasters. Somehow, in doing that, I come across Chip. I check his channel out. He has links on there. And I'll just say, if you want to be interviewed, sign up. I'll just sign up. I'm like, I don't know if he's really going to interview me. We'll see. Then my wife plans this trip around something. Her job flew her out to Orlando. So we got a free hotel out of it. I'll pay for me and my son. I'm scrambling to find somewhere because I wasn't planning on being out of town. And I go to some other hotel's lobby. I get on. We have a phenomenal interview. And we just realize it's a connection. It's a synergy here. Never met each other, never knew each other. But after that interview, he's like, hey, I have some. I do a impact of influence speaker series, which is genius to have that title connected to the series to constantly be marketing the brand and have the book and volume 1, 2, 3. I didn't know all of that at the time, and so he's like, yeah, in the spring I'm gonna reach out. We're gonna get you out to talk to the kids. I go out there. He has some other speakers. He connects me with them. And then a few months later, he's like, hey, we're doing volume 8. You want to be a part? You want to take time to think about it? I'm like, I don't need time to think about it. This whole thing has been orchestrated by God, meeting these great people, learning a new way to market yourself, just the business acumen he has. And I'm like, I would love to be a part of that. And had the picnic with all the authors, just the whole strategy and system he has for keeping this going. I learned so much just by witnessing it. And so yeah, just a cold connection with somebody I don't know through the internet, kind of like you were talking about earlier, and it's just been transformational.
Yeah, you just stepping out, just going for it. You never know what's going to come from that. That's such a cool story. I love that. And Chip, I didn't know. Was there a podcast I can get on? What's this platform where DeAndre was on? What I'm missing out.
Yeah, man. I have the Success Chronicles, my podcast. Love to get you on.
Get me
Yeah,
on
man.
there. I want to be on there.
Let's get it, man. Let's
All
make
right.
it happen. I think the beauty of it too, just in piggybacking on the story, it's evident. It's a true testament to people to, if there's something that you want, just take this first step to get to it. I think the big man will see fit to put you in the right spaces, rooms, around the right people to make those things happen. And my whole life has been that. And DeAndre didn't know that I'm passionate about serving and helping others, right? Because I know in my life, there's been a whole lot of people that have done that for me. Like even when I felt I may not have even been deserving of it, right? They said, hey, we're going to help you do this. I'm going to show you how to do this because you're going to be doing this one day. You're like, me? Yeah, you. And so, man, it's a true testament, man. That's what I've been taught. But like, I see amazing things in him. He's doing great stuff. And so, when you are blessed to be around people that are doing great things with a good heart, striving to help others and give service, I mean, you have to root for and encourage and do everything you can to help in that case, because just like I said, there's been a whole lot of people that have done that for me.
So when DeAndre was saying about the system you have in place for the impact of influence, I'm curious about this. Like, so you're leading into volume 8 of the book, and so you've built amazing connections through this book, not just for yourself, but for everybody who's been involved. And it sounds like there's quite a intricate formula that's involved in this. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that has influenced how the book has grown?
I guess it could be called an intricate formula. All I know is put your head down
Maybe
and
I'm
go to
using.
work.
Maybe I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, like
More simple than that.
all I know is put your head down, go to work, help people, do things the right way, work hard, treat people right, try to do business the right way. Those are my core principles that I believe in, and I'm going to do that regardless of what's going on. Right? Those things, like, I believe in it. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. Like, I'm going to do those things that I said, period. Right? And you guys know me, that.
Mhm.
Right? You've seen that from me, right? And you can bank that's going to happen every time, right? Because that's important to me. But I'm also, we talked about this before we got on the interview. There's a lot of things that I do in my life that, Rob, you didn't have any idea about. We talked about how in my whole life, I've been involved in lots, right? So, like, growing up, was involved in sports, community stuff in the church, was expected to have great grades. That was the expectations from the house, from mom. And so, played 4 sports for 4 years in high school, played college football. So my life has been a culmination of doing lots of stuff at the same time and expected to be great at it, right? Like, mom didn't average. Now, bro, like, you are going to, if you say you're going to do it, you're going to do it and be great at it, period. Right? And so what I didn't know growing up was that it was teaching me some amazing traits. It was teaching me some amazing skills. It taught me discipline. It taught me to have discipline in my life. And what it did was it organically eliminated the distractions in my life. And it allowed me to learn how to really just focus in and be super passionate about what I believe in. And so fast forward, what that's done for me in my life is my entire life, I just finished 25 years in the career in education, still a teacher. There's lots of things in my life that I have been consistent with for a very long time.
Mhm.
Right. And the reason is I've learned to have systems in place and be disciplined about those systems, right? Prioritize, have systems in place, keep it simple, right? Because I think less equals more. Hold on, let me give you that one again. Because less equals more. And when you allow yourself to not be involved in all of that other stuff that's not important, right? That I've prioritized what's important to me, and I go hard on those things that are important, faith, family, career, being the glue, all of those things. I have those things that are important to me. And so the intricate system, if you will, is just, being disciplined about what's important to you. Right.
Mhm.
And when you invest the time into what's important to you, the fruits of your labor is, man, hopefully impacting and influencing far beyond what I can ever imagine. Like, my intention is to be intentional. I'm intentional about being intentional, right? And being on purpose, right? On purpose with a purpose, all of those things. But my hope is to just continue to just take what has been given to me from the people before me, and I've been blessed to be around, and to continue to pass that on to others.
And so when you said less is more, what I hear is instead of going wide, you go deep, right? So you don't go wide on a bunch of things, you go deep on a couple of things that
Yes,
are your
sir.
things. The big
Right.
question is, for somebody who maybe hasn't had discipline in their life or hasn't had somebody to guide them in their life to find out what are those things that are in their zone of genius, how do they know? And I'm curious, just your response and your thoughts on this. How do you know what is your thing that you should go deep on? Because
I
there could be a
think,
billion things, right? We could pick a billion things. What are we going to go with?
yeah, I think one thing that has really helped me, I call it being in alignment with your assignment.
Come on.
right? And so, yeah. And so there's some things that the big man gifts, if you will, that the big man has given us, right? So, those of you that are sneakerheads out there, you get those, rare sneakers, in the tongue, it says like 1 of 10, 1 of 5, 3 of 15, right? And so when you realize that you are a 1 of 1, come on. When you realize that you are a 1 of 1, there's no one else like you, right? And so it allows you to like live in that and operate in that manner and really have the awareness to just see, hey, ooh, this is good for me. This feels good when I do this. I like this, right? This seems smooth, right? Like I don't have to really put a lot of effort to this, but great things are happening. Like, how does that happen? No, that's like you're in alignment with your assignment. And so, I believe that there are phases, there are some things that you have to experience, just like relationships. The good thing about a bad relationship is, is that you learn what you don't want, right? And so, as you grow, life is like that too. You're with your experiences. As you experience those things that come your way, what are you learning from those experiences? What are you learning about yourself from those experiences? And that gives you a heightened sense of awareness to help you be in alignment with your assignment. And so I think when you allow yourself to be disciplined and eliminate the distractions, quiet the noise, it allows you to focus in and really understand who you are and what the big man has made you for.
And something I say as far as his alignment and assignment is we're in agreement in that. I say alignment is greater than effort, and direction is much more important than speed. And so a lot of people, they're moving fast, they're going in a lot of different directions, but there's no alignment. And when your car is out of alignment, it takes a greater amount of effort to do what should come naturally because it's not aligned. And so to me, you can find your alignment by knowing your core values. Like he said, knowing your gift, which your gift is what's the thing you do better than most with the least amount of effort. And then finding a problem you want to solve or a product or service you want to offer the world and doing it using your gift without violating your values. That's where you get into the selling of your soul. We think it's blood, it's signature, Illuminati, and I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen, but once you violate multiple core values in pursuit of something, then you've sold your soul. And what's the point of gaining the whole soul world if you lose your soul? And I think how you can find that thing is frustration is elevation in disguise. Your problem is your platform. If you look around and you're upset about something and nobody else seems to be bothered, that means you're anointed to solve that problem. And then you become in alignment with your assignment. And Chip, I think, is blessed because he seeks to give a blessing. Anytime we're in an event, so far I've been together, even though he's the one putting it together and everybody came because of him, he's the quietest one until it's his turn to speak. He's the most humble. He's always trying to shine the light on somebody else. And he doesn't think of it as a system, but the way he puts things together, it's all aligned. It all feeds into each other. It all gives back to the people who give in. And that's why everybody shows up and they want to support because he's always sharing his platform in a way that he really doesn't have to. And so it makes other people want to share. And it just creates a culture of everyone giving to one another. And that's why I think he continues to be blessed because he gives,
That was so good. Both of you guys. Everybody should rewind and go back and just listen to that again because that's the formula, right? That's the formula for the reason it works is because you're in alignment with your assignment and things fall into place from that place. And if you feel out of alignment, like you said, DeAndre, find your core values, spend time with the Lord, right? Find your core values, listen to what he's telling you and where What did you just say a second ago? That was really, really good. Like if something stands out to you as a problem that nobody else sees as the problem, that's something you were uniquely gifted to fix.
Yeah.
Right. That's I've never heard it said that way before. And that's a really good way of pinpointing, here's a unique situation where I'm uniquely suited to serve in this area.
It's kind of like when an emergency happens and everyone says, say Chip, call 911. Because if I don't say Chip, call 911. If I don't say Rob, call 911, what is everybody going to do? Oh, somebody's going to call. And then nobody calls.
Yeah.
And so the frustration is God telling you this bothers you because you see the need. And now I need you to meet that need.
Mm. Man, good stuff, guys. I want to keep rolling, but we got to wrap this thing up. This has been so impactful. That's the impact of influence, I guess. Volume 8 is coming out on July 13th. So I'm going to add a link in this episode for. I can drop that in here right now as we're talking. We also have some messages from Darius. He chimed in. He's checking us out right now. So Darius, thank you for listening.
What's going on?
And anything. So as far as we covered a lot, this has been really powerful. Anything you guys want to mention, talk about before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I'll let you go first, DeAndre, and then I'll come behind you, brother.
What I always say, what I close a lot of my videos with is your pain has a purpose and your pain is a compass to your destiny. So all the things that hurt you in your life, rejection is redirection, all of that pain is directing you towards your purpose. The problems are a platform. And I always tell people, don't create a life you have to escape, because I'm big on end escapism. I'm thinking about going ahead and putting that on a shirt or something, because escapism is when we fall victim to sin, to addictions, to bad habits, because we hate the life that we're experiencing. But I tell people, don't create a life you have to escape. Build a life you cannot wait to wake up and experience. Because when you end escapism, you begin to experience and enjoy your life.
Yeah, the fullness that is life. Chip, what about you?
I think a couple of things I want to end on. I think first, as you can see, DeAndre and I warned Rob when we got on that he's pretty powerful. But all of the authors in the book, The Impact of Influence, Volume 8, and all of the other volumes, just amazing people, good-hearted, faith-based, just striving to do great things to help others. And man, I'm truly blessed to have the opportunity to be connected with some amazing people. And so I would just ask the audience, please, take the time to go check these people out. It will be worth your time. I promise you. It will definitely be worth your time to check out these amazing authors, to learn and grow and connect with them. Right. But then the other thing is, just like I said earlier, I believe that your ROI determines your ROI. And I'll just say what that means and I'll leave you. But your radar of influence determines your return on your investment. And inversely, your return on your investment determines your radar of influence. So again, thank you so much, Rob, for having us. Always a treat when the good guys get to meet. Always a good time. And
I need some rhymes. I need some things that rhyme that I say in my life. You go have so many things that just rhyme. It's like, that's so good. Those are just perfect to have. You pull them out of the hat constantly.
It's funny. I think the first time you had me on, I just remember you like, hold on, wait a minute, let me write that down. Wait a minute, hold on, let me write that down. And that tickled me, man. That tickled me, man. So I said, man, I got to make sure every time we get on with Rob, it's on for sure.
But the interesting thing is too, and like this conversation right here, if anybody's watching or listening to this, like everybody's accessible. I mean, some people might be super famous and they're hard to get access to. Right. But if you'd reach out to one of us, we're accessible. We're going to get back to you and start a conversation with you. Like that's one of the things that I like to encourage people to do is when you see something or you hear something that's really left a impression on you, make an effort to reach out. Even if you don't hear anything back, even if you think like there's no chance I'm going to get a chance to talk to this person, reach out every time you think that, because you never know what could come from that. Just
You're
like you
always
did.
one connection away.
Yeah, like just like you did. You searched Houston podcasts, right? And you reached out.
Man,
I
can't tell you how many times on my podcast I've reached out to people that like I'm listening to them on singing a song on the radio, and I reach out via social media and I'm interviewing the person in like 2 weeks, or like on a TV show, I see like a producer or a person on like one of the like The Voice or something like that, and I reach out to that person and the person says yes. Right, and I'm interviewing that person the next week. And I can't tell you how many times that has happened. Like my favorite author, you know, I've connected with him, I text with my favorite author. I mean, just like things like that. Like if you don't reach out, you'll never find out. And so I mean, what's the worst that they can say
Write
is
that
no
down.
Hold on, let me write that down. Like you know, like what's the worst they can do is say no. And if they say no, that doesn't stop your passion or what you believe in, you know. So try it, man. Let's go.
I love that. If you don't reach out, you're never going to find out. Awesome. Gentlemen, amazing. This is wonderful as always. And thank you so much for being a part of the Unstuck movement.